along with Todd Callis, Vision Cable's coverage of the high school football jamborees. And this one will feature the powerful Patriots of Pinellas Park against the Gladiators of Gibbs. Todd, we've talked a lot about the veterans here from Pinellas Park. What can we look forward to seeing here this afternoon?
Well, some of their keys, they are started by Jermaine Holmes. He's going to be a senior, and one of the reasons why we have scouts in the audience, not only tonight, but for the past few weeks of practice, is because of this guy. Number 5 is a major college prospect, Division I numbers. He ran a 4.440. He's got hands you wouldn't believe, and he's got a guy who can throw it to him as well in Tony Rucker. Rucker at 6'6", one of the many tall players on this team. Rucker can get it out there in a hurry as long bomb. They call him Missile, and he does have a cannon. He's only getting better. In fact, he might already be 6'7" this year, by the way. He's been growing. He's a basketball player as well. And on defense, Troy Lassiter, the middle linebacker, doesn't have the height of his other teammates who are stars, but he has the heart and dedication. This guy's only about 5'9", 5'10". He gets in there and hits guys about twice his size, and usually for a loss.
Pinellas Park will receive. They will have number 21, Mark Sanders, back deep in the starting offense. Tony Rucker, Mark Sanders, Robbie Corey, Jermaine Holmes, Tony Bland, Ronaldo Graham. Your offensive front is George Walters, James Gaddy, Dave Bradosi, Brian Cohen, and Wayne Richardson. And the defense for Gibbs:
Joe Maldonado, Jermaine Cross, Derek Bullard, John Johnson on the line, Marlon Green's on base, Brad Hyman, Frazier, Dukes, Roberson, and Odom in your secondary, and the Gladiators will set the kick.
Kicking off will be number 11, Justin Ryan. 2 Sanders and Lassiter, although Lassiter a linebacker, also a fine tailback with 4.6 speed. Both of these guys deep have that 4.6 40-yard speed, and Lassiter will take it to his own 10. He'll try to take it up the right side. Running hard through that initial surge, still on his feet and out across the 40. And you see why he is such a fine linebacker, because it takes a lot more than one guy to bring this guy down in the open field.
Just another weapon in that Patriot offense. He's doing it on the kickoff return and getting a hug from his coach, Thad Starling. Sanders wanted it as well. You see Mark get out in front of Troy. Sanders was listed at 6'2", 6'3" last year. He looks like he might have grown another inch. He's huge out there this year. He's been working on the weights as well. Lassiter gets it all the way out towards midfield, bouncing off his own men.
The backs are split, Robbie Corey and Sanders. This is the big quarterback. Rucker back has his man. This is Bland. He's going to have a first down inside of the 40-yard line, down to about the 36 of Gibbs. And Pinellas Park starting out this spring jamboree. They went the way they ended up last season, Todd, putting the ball up in the air effectively.
Came out firing, found their second favorite receiver, Tony Bland. While Holmes gets all the headlines, Bland is a very consistent receiver and will be the top receiver for a lot of teams, making a great move there. Finally, number 8, John Johnson, comes and gets him. Also got help from Justin Ryan as well in that secondary, but on first down, P-Park came out throwing.
Holmes spreads wide to the left. Bland is your wing right. The backs are split. This is Sanders, short side sweep, runs into his own man, turns the corner, and a burst of speed, and he's going to have another first down. And although this guy is only going to be a junior, Todd, he will be a big-time recruit by the time he's a senior, an outstanding running back.
Brian, you're right. He might be this year the best running back in the area. It's still to be seen. He grew up a lot last year during the season. He started out as a sophomore, a little unsure of himself. By the end of the season, he was one of the finest backs in the area.
First down and 10. The Patriots 2 plays, and they are on the move. They have first and 10 from the 25 of Gibbs. Again in the I formation with a wide receiver to either side. Holmes comes out to the short side, Bland to the left. Sanders straight up the middle. Following his fullback, Corey will pick up about 3 or 4 yards. We'll call it 4. That'll bring up second down and 6.
Coming into this game, Clay Rustemeyer was really scared of this Pinellas Park team. He was afraid because he had a very young team that they would be demoralized because the Patriots just have so many weapons, and they've shown a few already with Bland and Sanders. Quarterbacks, this team is explosive with a capital E.
The backs are split. Wide receiver to either side. Tight end Graham lines up on the right side. Again, Sanders, switch side sweep. Good block out in front. Has one man to beat. A great juke. He will be out of bounds just inside. Now they're going to say he stepped out of bounds at the 5. Great moves downfield by Mark Sanders.
And Mark Sanders right now is standing next to wide receiver Jermaine Holmes, who's listed at 6'5". He's maybe an inch shorter. He might have grown an inch, added some extra pounds, but he didn't change his speed or his moves at all. Watch to see if his foot trying to tiptoe the sideline right there. Stepped out of bounds. Good call by the side judge, but he's inside the 5, and he looks like he's going to have a monster year.
Wing right is Bland. Wide receiver Holmes to the left. The backs are split again. The short side sweep. Sanders, 5-yard touchdown. Pinellas Park on the board on their opening drive.
And some words exchanged between Sanders and Arian Odom. Odom, the quarterback for Gibbs. Just an awesome drive by the Patriots. They were not even close to being stopped. Sanders just into the end zone. Odom gets him late, tries to hold him up, and they said something afterwards, but nothing came of it. Although it's very early to make a prediction, Sanders is going to have a monster year after 2 carries, Brian, but he just looks like a horse out there. I don't know how many people are going to be able to stop him in the open field.
Thad Starling is going to have an awful lot of weapons to go to, and it's going to be hard to defense this football team. And it's going to be a challenge for him, although it's very early. We're seeing right here tonight the first drive. They spread that ball around, tied to all these fine skill position players, but that's the kind of problem as a head coach you'll love to have. On to attempt the extra point is number 42, Brian Potts, and it's going to be no good. The score will remain Pinellas Park 6 and Gibbs nothing. And Todd, the offensive line was a question mark. So far, they look tremendous.
They have looked awesome. Sanders has been awesome. They completed the one pass they tried to throw, so a perfect opening series for the Patriots. Now they're going to go back the other way. We'll get a chance to see what the Gibbs offense looks like. They are led by their quarterback, Arian Odom. Odom did not play much last year in the quarterback role, so it's something new. They'll be playing a wishbone offense, Will Gibbs. Don Bates and Brad Hyman behind him, along with Greg Lewis. Receiver Sean Buss, tight end John Johnson, and their line, Joe Maldonado, who only put on a football helmet 2 weeks ago, has never played organized football. Talk about the inexperience of Gibbs. David Nash, Chris Lampley, Jermaine Cross, and Derek Bullard. The P Park defense is led on a 4-4 by Bill Berry, Steve Delios, Tom Winkowski, and Corey Newton. Their linebackers are DeMarcus Ashcraft, Troy Lassiter, and Andy Tovey. And their secondary is Mario Mitchell, Chris Bell, Rodney Sanjin, and Wes Straw. Those are your starting lineups for Gibbs and Pinellas Park when Gibbs has the ball.
A lot of new faces in that Pinellas Park defense, so they will be charged there to try to get back that good defense they had last year, especially on the defensive front and in the secondary. Kicking off, Brian Potts, the left footer, hits it well. It's going to come down inside of the 5. Taken by number 20 up the right sideline. He's got a lot of room back across the middle. And he is going to be out across, or actually across the 45-yard line, tackled at his own 46. And initially, right away, we don't have a number 20 listed here.
We got to say that's Mike Frazier, who's a running back as well, who wears 22. We don't have a 20, but we'll say this is Frazier. Whoever it was made a nice move and got Gibbs in great field position for their first offensive series behind Arian Odom.
Arian Odom is the quarterback. He was the quarterback or point guard on the basketball team, so he's used to running that position, but in a different sport. We'll see what he does here with his wishbone. I know he's going to have an illegal procedure or a dead ball foul initially before that play got started. We will say that is Mike Frazier until we find out otherwise. Again, a lot of these coaches scrambling at the last minute to getting into the rosters the last couple of days. We've got some people out here in the first couple of games we could not identify. And they're going to say it was an offside, that their encroachment defensively is the proper call. But Pinellas Park did line up in that neutral zone, thus the dead ball foul.
Trying to pick up some numbers here on the Gibbs offense. They will have Bates, Brad Hyman, and Greg Lewis in their starting backfield. And we see Don Bates, number 44, Greg Lewis, number 21.
And number 22 is on the sideline if that's Mike Frazier, so we're still not quite sure who number 20 is. Fumbles the snap. It's loose, and Pinellas Park is on it. So Gibbs trying to come back. Fumbles the snap. Pinellas Park opportunistically number 43 right there to jump on it. Corey Newton. They will have excellent field position at their own 47. Gibbs defense back on the field.
Last year, number 43 was DeMarcus Ashcraft, and I'm not sure if that was Ashcraft or not. They said Ashcraft was wearing number 11 today, but I don't see an 11 down there. That certainly looked like DeMarcus. We'll have to straighten out some of these numbers, but either way, a big turnover early.
Backs are split. Rucker play action, looking in the flat for good catch by the tight end, Ronaldo Graham. He's going to be out of bounds at about the 34, and a late hit, 15 yards will be tacked on top of that against Gibbs.
Brian, last year we saw Ronaldo Graham at times look awkward in his receptions. One thing Thad Starling has been very impressed with is how basketball has helped his hand-eye coordination and his concentration, and there's a look right there. He looked like a completely different player. Last year he doesn't catch that ball. This year not only does he catch it, but he is a load once he catches it at 6'7". He's got the size to play major college football, and now it looks like he's got the hands to start going with it.
Ronaldo was much maligned in some of the games, and by us, not certainly in a way we meant to be mean to the young man, but he did, as you mentioned, look awful awkward on a couple of balls, especially the long ball where he had to stretch his hands, or a ball like that he had to stretch his hands. Last year, as you mentioned, he doesn't make that play. He showed tremendous progress and is a good-looking football player. 15-yard penalty, marches the ball down inside of the 20-yard line of Gibbs. And timeout. Gibbs is going to call timeout immediately. Don't like what they're seeing. Clay Rustemeyer, Todd's going to talk it over with his defense.
And one of the things we talked about, Brian, were the scouts that were on hand for not only this game, but for the Pinellas Park practices. They had 9 scouts a day on the average at their practices alone. Thad Starling says his table is loaded with letters from every school from Michigan to Notre Dame on down. At their red-blue game, they had 25 scouts from Division I schools looking, or some Division school as well, Division II as well, looking at kids like Jermaine Holmes. And tonight again, we've got about 3 rows of scouts not too far from us on the far right side of the booth, and they are looking at Jermaine Holmes and Tony Bland and Tony Rucker and the rest of the Pinellas Park crew. And there are some of the guys right there. They have rosters in hand. There's about 3 rows deep of those gentlemen. And Holmes has been the guy who brings them here, says Thad Starling. But once they get here, they start noticing a number 12 Rucker, number 15 Holmes, the big tight end, and Bland as well.
We're going to wear out some notepads tonight because they've got an awful lot of fine seniors to be out here playing football today. First and 10, just inside of the 20, about the 19 of Gibbs. The backs are split on the counter play. Big hole up the middle, inside the 5, and he's going to be tackled right there for the fullback, Robbie Corey.
Corey, an interesting story as well. Last year, his brother Jim playing on the offensive line and the defensive line, doing a good job. Robbie was working last year, didn't play football. This year, it's Jim who's working, and Robbie back on the football field. He's going to be a key for this team because he's going to be the fullback, and Sanders is going to get all the highlights, but Corey's got to be a steady performer as well, and if he can carry the ball like that, that's just another weapon to look for.
It's going to be 2nd down and 1, just outside the 10. Sanders hitting the backfield, spins forward. Good team defense that time by Gibbs. 44, one of the first men in there, Don Bates. Also 79, Jermaine Cross.
That was the first real nice defensive play of the game for the Gibbs Gladiators, and Bates was the man who stuffed it early. Here you see the pitch back, Rucker pitching it back and then looking for someone to block, but Bates beat the block, got in there to slow Sanders down, and Jermaine Cross also there to put on the finishing touches. Good job by the Gladiators right there. See if they can build on that play.
3rd down and less than 1. They need to get across the 10. They're at the 11. The backs in the I formation. Sanders left side. 1st down inside the 5. Touchdown, Pinellas Park. 11-yard burst straight up the middle. Mark Sanders makes it look easy.
Sanders is looking awesome tonight, and he did get some nice blocks. Watch the left side of the line of scrimmage, blow out some holes. Good block right there by big number 73. That was James Gaddy, the left side guard. Their offensive line doing a job. There you see the big hole, and once Sanders gets through there, he's almost unstoppable, especially inside the 10, and he went in. They're now going for 2 points.
They will go for 2 because they missed the first PAT. Rucker, quick dump pass. Holmes, 2-point conversion, or Graham. Ronaldo Graham make that on the reception. Good read by Rucker. He found his open receiver, and Todd, again, with all those weapons, somebody's going to be open, and he did a good job of picking him out right there.
This Patriot team is going to score a lot of points this season. If they can hold other teams down, they're going to win a lot of ball games. One of the questions for Thad Starling, who you see on your screen, was the offensive line. And if so far the first 2 series are any indication, granted they're against a very young and inexperienced Gibbs defensive front, but their offensive line thus far has looked very impressive in opening holes for Sanders. Take a look at also his quarterback, Tony Rucker, just then. He had that word missile on the back of his helmet. Thad Starling nicknaming a lot of his players. Missile is Tony Rucker. They call Ronaldo Graham Fly because he wears those goggles. And Tony Bland is nicknamed Rabbit. All of those guys have their names on the back of their helmets. And they're going to be called winners, all of them, if they can play some defense this year, because there's no doubt the offense can score some points.
Brian Potts again to kick off. The left footer with another nice kick coming down at about the 3-yard line. Number 20 takes it down the right sideline. He's going to be chased out of bounds inside of the 20, or right near it now, they will say. And again, we will apologize. We do not know who number 20 is. He's not listed.
We're going to change our minds and say that was Brad Hyman, because in the opening backfield, the other numbers match with Bates and Lewis, and the other odd number was Brad Hyman. So instead of number 33 on Hyman, we're going to say he's wearing number 20, because there is a 22 out there on the sideline, Mike Frazier. So hopefully we're right in identifying him as Brad Hyman, a senior to be running back.
1st and 10 now for Gibbs from their own 20. Odom on play action keeps it. He can get outside. He has some room, but a real nice play there by number 6, Chris Bell, to read that and stay home. He gets outside of Chris Bell on that reverse, or that bootleg action, Todd. He has a lot of room out in front of him.
Chris Bell wearing the number that was worn last year by Roger Vaughn, taking right over for Roger in that open field tackling ability. Real nice play right there, as Odom had a chance to get out for a Gibbs first down, but instead Bell stayed home and made the nice tackle.
Arian Odom with a real nice play fake, allowing him to get outside initially, showing some good ball handling ability. 2nd down and 7. Backs in the wishbone, wide receiver to the right. This is the fullback. No, Odom's going to keep it on the right side. Has some running room across the 30-yard line. He'll have his first down. Good hard running and a good read by the quarterback, Arian Odom. Will put up about 12 yards on the play.
Odom looks like he's going to be able to run the bone well. They're running the wishbone this year with Clay Rustemeyer. And you see Arian Odom right here. The quarterback's the key to any wishbone. This time he did a good job. You see DeMarcus Ashcraft faked out initially. Then he gets up the field a little bit, bounces off one tackle, finally brought down by Rodney Sanjin. And Gibbs getting their first down of the ball game.
1st and 10 from their own 39. And we're going to have flags all over the field as Odom keeps the ball again. We're going to call that one back as a dead ball foul, I believe.
Talking about Clay Rustemeyer a little bit earlier, how he was scared to death of this game with Pinellas Park. His team, Brian, really might not become a full-fledged unit until early or midway through the 1990 season. They're playing with so many guys who not only don't have much varsity experience, but don't have much football experience. And when you do that, you're not going to be a cohesive unit right away. Not many seniors on this team. Arian Odom looks like he could be a key offensively, but until they get some experience on the lines, they might struggle early. But Clay Rustemeyer is just hoping that things will work their way out, and the Gladiators can come up with a few victories in those first few games.
Odom now facing a 1st down and 15 after the legal procedure. He'll give the ball to the big fullback. That's number 44, Don Bates. Bates will wedge that pile forward for about 4 yards on the play, and he'll bring up 2nd down, and we'll call it 11.
Tell you what, the Pinellas Park defense is going to probably get overshadowed by their offensive explosiveness, but the defense might end up being just as important, if not more important. They are led by the middle linebacker, Troy Lassiter, West Draw, big man in the secondary. DeMarcus Ashcraft, important as an outside linebacker with Von Manuel hurt right now. But the defense as well could be very tough. They just might be overshadowed with the weapons they have on the O.
2nd and 11. Odom fumbles the football. It's loose, and it looks like Pinellas Park has it. The officials concur. It looked like number 80, Jason Kovaseth, with the recovery. And the ball loose, and that's the danger of that wishbone, Todd, especially with a young team. You tend to turn the ball over and put it on the ground an awful lot.
That's right. Earlier we saw the fumble recovery by Corey Newton. See who gets this one. I believe you're right. I believe it was number 80, Kovaseth, and he got there second, it looks like. He had a head in there, but DeMarcus Ashcraft, who we said earlier wore number 43 last year, this year wearing number 11, gets the fumble recovery. So Ashcraft, the linebacker, picking this one up after Corey Newton, the right defensive end, got the first recovery.
1st and 10 for Pinellas Park from the 34. On the counter action, there's flags all over the field. Good stick is number 14 running the football, Larry Bell. Stuck and knocked backwards after a gain of about 2 yards, but there are a number of flags on the field.
And the guys that came out here with the notepads may be a little disappointed in that Thad Starling has decided to use some of the backups already. Mark Sanders not in the backfield to start this offensive drive, although he does have Tony Bland and Jermaine Holmes out there, with Larry Bell facing the defense as opposed to Mark Sanders. Not taking anything away from Bell, but Sanders is just a horse, and now you've got a much smaller running back. The Gladiator defense has to be a little bit happy about this situation.
Jermaine Holmes has not had a ball thrown to him yet. He spreads out to the left. Bland comes to the right, straight up the middle. Good burst. And he's going to be down across the initial line of scrimmage and down to about the 30-yard line.
That was Henry Wong, and I couldn't catch his number on the initial handoff because he flew through there. I don't know how quick this guy is, but all of a sudden, here comes their second-string tailback, and he's hitting holes like he gets shot out of there with a slingshot. That was an unbelievable move to the hole. He took that ball and was off and flying and picked up a nice chunk of yards.
Call it 2nd down and 7. Wong is the tailback. Play action Rucker looking for Bland on the hook pattern. He has him. Good close, but it'll be enough for the first down. Bland with the precise pattern hooked up, and Rucker put it right in the numbers.
Really nice pattern, as you said. He hit Graham once. He's hit Tony Bland now for the second time. The only guy he hasn't hit is his leading receiver, Holmes. We can score 14 points and drive for your 3rd touchdown without hitting your leading receiver. You know you've got some other guys to go to. This team is going to be real tough. I keep saying it, but it's hard to imagine them being held down to very few points in a ball game.
1st down and 10 from the 24 of Gibbs. Defensive encroachment. And it'll bring up a 1st down and 5 from the 19.
That was one of the gentlemen we were talking about with not much football experience. Joe Maldonado, just a couple of weeks ago, decided to start playing football. Had never played before. Number 66, learning the game in a hurry. There you see Big Joe. Got the size. Just got to get some football downs under his belt. Here you see him jumping. Obvious call. Joe just thought he heard a snap, and because he's not too used to some different cadences, he took off in a hurry.
1st down and 5 from the 19. Rucker on play action, throwing it back, has Graham wide open, can't quite hold on to it. Good effort by Graham, led him a little bit, and trying to tightrope that back of the end zone, couldn't haul it in.
I think at that time, Graham thought he was too far into the end zone and tried to keep his feet in bounds when really he could have gone a little bit further. We'll see the pass again. Rucker, great job throwing against his body. Graham gets his fingertips on it and can't quite get there as he does eventually head out of bounds. But I think initially he was slowing down because he thought he was going to run out of end zone room.
Great pattern now as they went back against the motion. He rolled left and came back right over the middle. 2nd down now and 7. Again, Rucker, and looking on the out pattern, but Bland broke it in. So that time either a broken pattern or a misread by the quarterback, and that now will bring up 3rd down and 6.
Here we see the play, and Rucker did not use a wise decision here. Threw it into double coverage, did not throw the ball well, maybe a misrouted pattern. One thing Pinellas Park did last year, the reason they weren't a little bit better is they would make the costly mistake. Fumbles cost them a lot, and interceptions. They played a very tough Sarasota Riverview team down to the wire, but again, the costly turnovers would end up doing them in. They had to cut that down this year.
This is Wong off the right side, breaks off the initial stop, but he's going to be knocked down at the 19. That will bring up 4th down and 5.
Last year, when Bruce Buck was the head coach, Pinellas Park would go for it on numerous occasions. Not only on 4th and short, he'd go for it on 4th and 15. I assume Thad Starling will adopt a similar style, maybe not quite as gutsy on the 4th and 15 calls, or as dangerous, depending on how you want to look at it, but he'll go for it here.
4th down and 5. The ball at the 18-yard line of Gibbs. Wide receivers to either side, a wing to the left. Rucker looking in the end zone for Bland in the corner of the end zone. He runs out of real estate as Rucker just led him a couple of steps too far on that attempt.
Bland her way out to the track, and that's a good place for these guys because they're almost all of them track stars. Bland runs a 4.6 out there. Rucker leading them deep, but too deep. He runs out of room in the end zone as you see the ball following incomplete. So on 4th down, Gibbs holds the Gladiators' first bright spot of the ball game as they get the ball over on down, see what they can do offensively.
Gibbs does hold, as Todd mentioned. They are trailing at 14-0, but a nice defensive stand right there. Take over at their own 18. Odom, the quarterback, fumbles the ball again. Looks like he fell on, and he did, as the officials concur, and they will call it now 2nd down and long. Runs into his fullback, and that mesh and that fake in there, not a good one right now.
One thing you can't do right now if you're Gibbs is cause problems by running into your own people, and that's what Arian Odom just did as he ran into his own man. That was Marlon Green he ran into, and Clay Rustemeyer, he can accept the other things because he knows Pinellas Park has an awesome offense, but when you start making mistakes because you run into your own players, he doesn't want to see that at all.
Odom on the keeper, trying to get outside. Good penetration. He'll be dumped at the 5-yard line or the 10-yard line. Make that for a big loss of about 7 yards.
Tons of Patriots in there. Great momentum surge as they just got into that backfield in a hurry. Odom really had no chance, and he's kind of putting his hands up in the air saying, what do I have to do here? Here you see him on the run in the far outside. He was being pursued by a number of people. Corey Newton eventually got him from behind, but DeMarcus Ashcraft was also back there. The linebackers in the right side defensive end doing the job.
And that will be the last play of the first quarter with the score. Pinellas Park 14, Gibbs nothing. We'll take a break and be back with our second and final quarter of this 1990 Spring Jamboree in a moment. Stay with us. Leading Gibbs by the score of 14-0. Gibbs facing a 3rd down and 19 from their own 10. We're going to have a dead ball foul called by the officials. This is Brian Lungst along with Todd Callis, Vision Cable's coverage of this 1990 Spring Football Jamboree. The first half was won by Seminole on one of the last plays of the half, 14-13 against Osceola. The second half went all to Clearwater as they shut out St. Petersburg by the score of 28-0. And this first quarter has been all Pinellas Park as they lead this one 14-0.
Clearwater and Pinellas Park definitely looking like the classes thus far in this Jamboree. P Park really explosive.
3rd and long. Odom in trouble. The ball is loose in the end zone. It's going to be a touchdown for Pinellas Park as it was recovered in there by number 56, Steve Delios. Heavy pressure from the entire interior and the linebackers. The ball coming loose. And Todd, you have to feel for Arian Odom. He has just been swarmed under this entire first half.
Look at number 1, Troy Lassiter, get in there. I believe we were isolated on him as he gets in to knock the ball away, knocks it loose, and in for the touchdown recovery as the Pinellas Park defensive lineman Steve Delios. Lassiter making the play, knocking it loose. Delios coming up with a touchdown recovery, and Pinellas Park goes up 20-0.
On to attempt the extra point. Will once again be number 42, Brian Potts. Wes Straw, number 32, is holding. And it looked like he whiffed on it, but there was a flag. And we'll have to see, there's flags all over the field. And it looked like he just might have missed that ball, Todd. A legal procedure will be called against Pinellas Park, and that will obviously be declined by Gibbs.
Yeah, the snap was low, was never handled well. And he had no shot to get that ball up in the air. So Gibbs will decline and make Pinellas Park kick off, and it'll be 20-0. Here you watch it. No chance for Wes Straw here as it bounced up to him. Tried to get the ball down, and at this time he realized he wasn't going to be able to do so, and the ball's just lying there.
Potts kicking at the ball, and Straw had it up in his hand before he dropped it. Kind of a funny-looking play. But as Todd mentioned, Pinellas Park up by the score of 20-0 just into this second quarter. They will be kicking off again to Gibbs. Clay Rustmeyer's got to get his offense going here. Give his quarterback Arian Odom some time. We've seen on the few plays he's had some running room, that he is an outstanding athlete and exciting, knows what to do with the football. He just really doesn't have anywhere to operate. He hasn't had anywhere to operate the last couple of series.
That's exactly what Clay Rustmeyer was fearing with his young team here. They can get so high emotionally and so down in a very short time when you're young and you haven't played much football. But they're running into one of the better teams in the area, and it's just unfortunate the matchups ended up this way because Gibbs is still learning, and this is not a team you're going to learn much against. You're probably going to get pummeled because they have just got so many offensive weapons, and they're showing some defensive weapons as well.
Potts again with a nice kickoff coming down at the 5-yard line. This is Brad Hyman. Cuts it up and gets back to about his 20. Will be tackled at his 21. So Gibbs will try to get it going once again offensively. They've been stymied thus far. Arian Odom, the quarterback. He's been running in and out of different running backs.
See the return there. Tackle was made on that play by Brian Potts, the kicker.
He's got Bates in there at the fullback position. This is Bates straight up the middle, trying to drive that pile forward, but not a lot of room. Lassiter in there at the bottom of that pile.
Number 1, Troy Lassiter, gets to the line of scrimmage in unbelievable fashion. He is the middle linebacker. He made a lot of hits last year. Ran into a Sarasota Riverview team that was bigger and didn't get many tackles in that game. But he is always there to disrupt play, cause a turnover like he did in that fumble. Just causes havoc by getting to that line of scrimmage with a full head of steam.
Picked up a yard. It's 2nd down and 9. Again in the wishbone. Wide receiver to the left side. 2nd back through. We'll get out to about the 25. That's number 22, Mike Frazier, the freshman running back. We'll call it 3rd down and 6.
Here you see the handoff. Frazier looking for some running room. Getting a couple before being tripped up there. Running the wishbone to the Gibbs Gladiators. Not an offense that you can come back from a big deficit in. And right now they're down by 20 to that man's team, Thad Starling.
3rd down and 6. Again the wishbone. Odom pulls it out of the belly of the fullback. Has the corner turned and dragged down by Ashcraft. The ball is loose. That is recovered by Gibbs. Gibbs had it initially, but Wes Straw down there trying to wrestle it away. Todd, it looked like he had his first down, but when Ashcraft hit him, the ball flew backwards. It came loose, and they'll bring up a 4th down in a punting situation, apparently, for Gibbs.
Brad Hyman, I believe, recovered. Also over there was David Nash, number 60. You see the one hand losing control of the ball going into the air. There's Hyman, number 20. He doesn't get it initially. Wes Straw was also over there for Pinellas Park. He'll come into the picture right here, number 32. And he doesn't get it either as he was blocked off the ball nicely by Nash. And this will be a punting situation as Gibbs brings in their punter, Justin Ryan.
And momentarily, Ashcraft got away with a face mask. He only had that face mask for a split second, but he did have it. Ryan under pressure, low line drive, barely gets it off. It's going to roll out and be downed at the 47-yard line of Gibbs, and Pinellas Park once again will take over 1st and 10 from there. An excellent field position.
Pinellas Park really didn't play that too well, though, as a returning team. They were kind of huddled around the ball. One thing you want to do there is get out of the way of it, make sure it doesn't bounce off one of your legs. But a little bit of confusion because you don't see many 20-yard line drive kicks like that. It ended up not costing them as Gibbs just simply downed the ball.
Rucker, the quarterback. The backs are split. He has Holmes to the left, Bland out to the right. Pitches the ball back to Sanders, trying to get outside to the right. Turns it up and will pick up 4 or 5 yards.
Sanders sat out last series, and Pinellas Park was stopped for the only time in the ball game. A different team with that sophomore, soon-to-be junior tailback in there running the ball. He really looks like, and Thad Starling, their coach, said he hasn't come up with official heights and weights, Brian, but he really looks like from here he added at least an inch or 2 and maybe 15 pounds. He's a big man out there.
He went in at 6 foot 190 last year. If he can tip the scale at 200 pounds, Todd, with that excellent speed and just that quickness. The speed is great, but that quick first or second step, he gets up in that hole so quickly. Sometimes speed is overrated when you can get up to that hole, but when you have the speed and that quickness and you can carry 200 pounds, dynamite package.
See him right there having an equipment problem, going over and getting his helmet checked. He'll be replaced by Henry Wong in the lineup.
The backs are now Henry Wong and also number 14 Bell, who is flanked left.
Holmes had single coverage for the first time in a while.
And for underneath it, they will hit number 14 Larry Bell, but good coverage and a nice close there by number 7 Tim McGee.
McGee really did make a nice play. The sophomore, who's also a backup quarterback for Gibbs, closed in on a hurry on Larry Bell. Here you see Larry trotting off after he made his catch. Right into your living room. Does Tony Rucker throw it? Johnson almost got a hand on it, but McGee right there on the stick.
3rd down and 3. Holmes will come out to the short side. Bland working the wide side of the field. Flanked in the wing, actually, is Ronaldo Graham, the tight end. Rucker in the spread formation. And a legal procedure. Looked like number 34, Robbie Corey, in motion, turned upfield a split second too soon.
I think that's the call. Tony Bland talking about it with Corey right now. Looked like he took that left turn before it was actually snapped. That is the call. It'll be 5 yards move back. And that doesn't bother Pinellas Park too much because they love to pass anyhow, and this will definitely be a passing situation.
Gives them a little more operating room, really, to run their pass route.
That's right.
Make something develop. 14 Larry Bell checks back into the game, along with Wong at the running back. He'll be in the slot left. Graham is in the slot to the right. He now will go in motion. Will Bell. Rucker straight back. On the post pattern has Bland, and he can't haul it in. Right through the hands at about the 25. A well-thrown ball, and Bland just didn't look that one into the hands.
Bland usually catches those balls. He'll catch them 90% of the time. He knows that he's shaking his head. Rucker with a real nice throw. Watch the big guy go over the top. He throws right over the top for a tall man, and he drills it right in the hands of Bland, right in front of his face mask. And no doubt about it, Tony Bland should have had that ball, simply dropped it.
4th down and 8, Pinellas Park going for it. And you have to wonder when Jermaine Holmes is going to get his first ball thrown at him. He's on the short side this way. They'll have a slot to either side. And now number 14, Bell, will go in motion. Rucker straight back. Holmes has a good out pattern, wide open, and he gets it inside of the 20. Put a great move on the defensive back, a little in and then out move, broke it wide open, and Rucker laid it right in there perfectly.
Just a matter of time before this guy catches a few balls. His first of the night, first of the Jamboree, and you're right, Brian, he must have had a great move because see right there, the pass in the night, right on the numbers of number 5. And obviously Gibbs putting their best defensive back on Mr. Graham, and in that case, it's Adrian Roberson, but Roberson could simply watch Jermaine Holmes put that great move on him.
Put a post corner on him and broke wide open. 1st down and 10 from the 24. Rucker again, this time the draw to Sanders. Has some room up the middle, running hard inside of the 15, down to about the 14. It will be another 1st down or very close to it, depending on the spot.
You have to find maybe one weakness or one area where Mark Sanders can improve. It's certainly not in his running game. He goes up hard. He runs straight up and down the field. He's got great size. One thing he can improve on maybe is his hands a little bit on pass patterns. They don't always use him in passing situations. But besides that, this man is a true running back. Only a sophomore to be a junior. He's going to be a very, very good player.
2nd and short. Rucker underneath the Bland at the 5. Touchdown, Pinellas Park. A beautiful crossing pattern between Ronaldo Graham and Tony Bland. Bland came underneath the pattern. It broke wide open, and he had an easy waltz into the end zone after that.
This Patriots team is a secondary's coach nightmare. You've got Graham, Bland, and Holmes, all 6'4" or better. They can all catch and run. Earlier, it was Graham on a big catch. Bland's had 3 catches. Their number of weapons is just awesome. They can go to any one of those guys, and then you got Mark Sanders in the backfield.
Again, we'll go for 2. Sanders in the backfield with Rucker on the out pattern. Beautiful defensive play, and broken up out there by number 22, Mike Frazier. They were trying to get it out there to Ronaldo Graham, and Frazier, covering him like a blanket, broke to the ball and knocked it away.
One of the few highlights for Gibbs, and Frazier has some extra words to say to Ronaldo Graham after that. So it is now a 26-0 Patriot lead. You take a look at Tony Rucker. He's looked very good this evening. Patriots, Brian, are going to be a team that if they ever lose, it's going to be something like 35-28, or it doesn't look like they're going to be held to very few points in any ball game.
The only question is still going to be the offensive and defensive fronts. It looks like they've got some guys going both ways, and they're not real big. They're playing excellent this evening, outstanding football out there. But when they get against maybe the bigger teams like the Clearwaters or your Riverviews or teams like that, we'll see how they hold up. And I'm sure Thad Starling will tell us that after the game, that he's still concerned, maybe not because of the efforts or the athletic ability, because of the size of these young men. But they have the weapons offensively. If they give them the time which they have this evening, get the job done. Another fine kick. This one's going to come down this time again to number 20, Brad Hyman. Hyman with good second effort gets out across the 30 out to about the 34.
It's a real important series for Gibbs. They needed a little bit of a confidence booster here. We said it before, but it bears repeating. They've run into a powerhouse. Pinellas Park is going to be one of the top teams, if not the top team in the area. They're going to be picked by a lot of people as the team to beat. And Gibbs is running into them in a bad time because Gibbs is very young. They don't have a lot of game experience, and they're trying to grow up in a hurry.
Aaron and Odom. Now they'll break the bone and send wide receivers to either side with a slot to the left. Odom straight back. Under pressure is going to be dumped and sacked. 43, the first man in there was Corey Newton from his interior linebacker position.
And you really have to feel bad for a guy like Odom. He has had absolutely no opportunity to get anything going offensively, and really not his fault here. In fact, there's no way it's his fault. He takes 3 steps back. By the time he plants his last foot, he's got no chance to throw the ball. So Arian Odom getting sacked by Corey Newton, and we are going to take a timeout right now as Gibbs takes a timeout with the score. Pinellas Park 26 and looking awesome. Gibbs nothing.
Second and long, and there's Lassiter again on the blitz, and Odom again, Todd. We don't want to belabor the point. He just doesn't have any chance to do anything. The kid's a good-looking young quarterback, but just no help up front, at least this evening.
And you really feel bad for the guy. Troy Lassiter's he's a bullet. When he gets ahead of steam, he's going to find the quarterback a lot of times. You don't want to ask Thad Starling or tell Thad Starling to call off the dogs, but it's almost time that his players, they can't do anything. They're playing normal defense. His players are just beating the offensive line to the ball, so it's nothing the coaching staff's doing.
Tony Tasillo checks in at the cornerback position for Pinellas Park. Gibbs off the left side will pick up a couple of yards, and grudging yards at best.
What Pinellas Park doesn't want to have happen is what happened in last year's Jamboree when they smoked Boca Ciega 39-0, then came out in the regular season and lost to the Pirates. But they have looked incredible tonight. They've done everything, not only offensively, but defensively as well. Their defense may get overshadowed this year, but it's a very tough unit. Thad Starling, the defensive coordinator last year, now coaching both sides of the team as the head coach.
Pinellas Park, Todd, now putting in their entire second team, looks like punt return team anyway, on the defensive side on 4th down and long. 4th, and we'll call it 18. Dead ball foul. We had movements on both sides of the ball. We'll see which was the initial infraction, whether the offense moved, whether the defense encroached.
Either way, it'll be short of a first down. It'll only be a 5-yard penalty on 4th and about 8.
And Justin Ryan, the sophomore who's been under heavy pressure, will get another shot here. And he finally got one off there, but it was because of a penalty. See whether they come after him again. Low snap under pressure up the middle, and it's going to be recovered by DeMarcus Ashcraft at the 26-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 from there for Pinellas Park, and Gibbs cannot do anything right this evening.
They're really learning in a hurry, Brian, but they're overmatched, especially in special teams. Pinellas Park didn't really rush them that heavily that time. Simply a bad snap, and if you're Ryan Justin back there, you've got to be a little Justin Ryan rather, you got to be a little gun shy after what's happened. And once he got that low snap, no way he could recover in time, and P. Park will have a chance to add to their big score.
And they're going to get back in the spread formation, and they still have Rucker in the game. It looks like they're starting offensive backfield, and wide receiver set straight back is Rucker. Looking for Jermaine Holmes in the corner, makes a great adjustment, touchdown Pinellas Park. A 27-yard strike from Tony Rucker to Jermaine Holmes. The ball was not real well thrown. He just made a great adjustment, Todd.
Look at that ball up in the air. You're going to hear this combination all year long. Rucker to Holmes. Jermaine is why a lot of the scouts are here. A few of them left already, but the ones that are still around were smiling at that catch. Jermaine Holmes is just, words don't need to describe him. He is one of the best, if not the best in the area, maybe one of the better ones that will be around a long time. He's going to be, you're going to hear about him on ABC College Football in not too distant future. He's going to be at a big school soon.
Again, the extra point attempt. This one is up, and it is through by 42. Brian Ponson. The score is Pinellas Park 33 and Gibbs nothing. With this break in the action, we'll take a quick break ourselves. Be back with the rest of this third and final half of Spring Jamboree football in a moment. Receiving the kickoff will take it and get out across their 30 down to about their 32-yard line. They will take over from their 1st and 10. That was number 24, Corey Lovett, another freshman. A lot of freshmen running back and deep receivers on kicks and punts for Gibbs. So they could be a team of the future. They're showing some fine athletes. They're just being overmatched right now because of the youth by this experienced, well-conditioned football team from Pinellas Park. So Clay Rustemeyer's squad could be a year or two away, but if they can keep these guys out, keep them developing, they could have a fine squad in the making down there at Gibbs in Gladiator territory. Odom is still the quarterback. He'll hand the ball off the left side. That's number 21 with Greg Lewis, another freshman running back. Gets back to about the line of scrimmage. And they'll bring up 2nd down and 10. Todd Callis is headed down to the sideline to try to get us some post-game interviews with some coaches and see what the coaches thought here of the spring football and the Jamboree. Again, it's a learning experience. A lot of coaches don't put a lot of stock in the outcomes of these games. They're more concerned about experimentation with the players in new positions and seeing how their players have developed and learning the system than they are about winning these things. Straight back is Odom. On the deep pattern, has a man wide open. That's number 5, Adrian Roberson. He's going to be dragged down at the 33-yard line. A well-thrown ball by Odom. One of the few times that he's had any time to throw the football, and a fine catch out there by Adrian Roberson. One more look. Quick drop. He gets rid of it in a hurry. It's a timing pattern as he lobs it up in the air. And Roberson has a step on the defensive back. We've got the 2nd unit defensive back. It's Tony Tasillo in there at the cornerback for Pinellas Park. Pinellas Park now making some defensive substitutions. They get caught with too many players on the field, and they wisely will take a timeout before they get a penalty. Thad Starling, who is still the defensive coordinator, although he's now the head coach here at Pinellas Park, will go out and talk things over with his team. Quick recap of what's happened earlier this evening. In the first game, Seminole came from behind to take the Warriors of Osceola by the score of 14-13. They scored the winning touchdown with not much time remaining, inside of 30 seconds, and a 2-point run by Shaw, who scored the touchdown on the 2-yard run, made it a 14-13 Seminole victory. In the second half of football, it was all Clearwater as they come away with a 28-0 victory. In this one, it's all Pinellas Park. They're leading at 33-0. Gibbs with a 1st and 10 from the 33-yard line of Pinellas Park. In the wishbone, straight back is Odom, looking again for Roberson on a quick post pattern. That's one bounces at his feet. Good coverage in the secondary that time. Number 22, one of the first players in there defensively, Rodney Sanjin. Also number 42 in that secondary was Brian Potts, the kicker. That'll bring up 2nd down and 10. Again in the wishbone, they'll send Roberson wide to the right. Odom straight back, looking to swing the ball, gets by one defender. Now we'll turn it up and try to run it. Fumbles the football, and Pinellas Park is on it. Troy Lassiter has recovered it for the Patriots. Odom trying desperately to make something happen, really had no room, giving it his all, and he stripped of the football once again. Troy Lassiter recovers it at the Pinellas Park 32. They will take over from their 1st and 10. And Arian Odom is down. He's banged up a little bit, as you see the replay right there. The ball coming right into Lassiter. With this injury timeout, we're going to take another quick break ourselves. We'll be back with the rest of this second half of action in a moment. Stay with us. Holding his back as he's walking off the field. Pinellas Park takes over, 1st and 10 from their own 32. Rucker back in the spread formation. Lotto Graham in motion, straight back to pass. Rucker on the out pattern trying to find Wong. Throws a little wide. Out about the 43-yard line. That'll bring up 2nd down and 10. So although he's up 33-0, Thad Starling, now this is only one half of football, trying to get his offense and his new offensive front as much work as possible here in this game situation in this spring football jamboree. Holmes spreads out to the short side. Bland will spread out to the right and the wide side of the field. The lone back, along with the quarterback in the spread, is Mark Sanders. Straight back is Rucker. Heaves it deep down the sideline for Holmes, trying to come back, but good coverage in the secondary by Roberson. The ball behind, Holmes threw on the brakes to try to make the adjustment. He fell down, and Roberson was right there. That one, Rucker threw a little bit off his back foot. He had a little bit of pressure. Didn't quite get it out there the way he wanted to. That'll bring up second down and 10. There is a flag on the field, so this would bring up a third down, depending on what the penalty is. They are talking to the defensive captain from Gibbs, 44, Don Bates. He's a junior running back and linebacker. He's been very active, looks very strong at that linebacker position. Going to march this one back off against Pinellas Park. It will be a major penalty. A holding call against the offensive front. It will remain second down, but it will now be second down and 24. The ball marked at the 19-yard line of Pinellas Park. They need to get out to about the 43. Got a new quarterback in the game. He's wearing number 16. We don't have a number 16 on our roster. He's going to hand the ball straight up the middle to Sanders. And not much there. Good pressure up the middle of the defense. 54 in there for Gibbs. That's Richard Herring, along with 44 Don Bates, the linebacker that we just spoke of. One more look at it. The spread formation and the draw action. Sanders. And then good penetration initially by Bates. So helping out in there was number 72, Cody Riggins. Third down at 24. This time they're going to go under center. The backs are split. It's the ball to Mark Sanders. Cuts it back, trying to get to the outside to the left. Has some room. He's going to have his first down, but there's going to be flags, and I believe they'll call it back to an illegal block, probably a clip. The man Roberson, who made the defensive play for Gibbs. Another look at it. Crossing him up with the pitch to the right side on third and long. Sanders with a great vision cuts it back. Got some good downfield blocks, but one of them apparently was an illegal block. That was the last play of this game, or this half. The final score, Pinellas Park 33, Gibbs nothing. We're going to take a break and be back with our post-game show in a moment. Final half of football as they defeat Gibbs by the score of 33-0. Standing by a man who should be very happy in his head coaching debut here at Pinellas Park. Comes away with a victory with Todd Callis. Take it away, Todd.
Thank you, Brian. Thad Starling, last year's defensive coordinator, this year taking over as head coach. And that, I guess when you take over as head coach, a lot of times the team's in trouble, you have some problems, but the only word that comes to mind is awesome.
Yeah, we worked hard at, after the takeover. Bruce did a lot of things for us before he left, and we just try to carry those things over. Me taking over is, kind of good for the kids. Everything, it was a smooth takeover. So it wasn't any problems, any complications. The kids was happy. The school is happy. The community is happy. So it makes it kind of easy to motivate the kids.
This is the culmination of spring practice. I guess it had to be an outstanding overall practice for you in the spring.
Yeah, it was, because we worked hard during the spring and trying to put in a new offensive system. We throw the ball. We threw it last year, but, we're trying to simplify our offense, and the young offensive line was our question, our big question mark. And tonight proved that the hard work that we did in the spring paid off.
What about all the offensive stars you have this year being seniors? Does that make this even more important? Is there a different attitude that may not have been there last year?
Well, they've grown up and they've become leaders. They know what it takes to win, and they know how it feels to lose. And that's a part of growing up in football.
Late in the ball game, it seemed like you guys were still throwing. You might have been up a little bit. Was that something that you're just going to see at Jamboree, or you're not one that likes to call off the dogs?
Well, my philosophy is to kill a mosquito with an axe. And I try to instill that on the team. You can have a team up, and in close games, if you always tend to let down when you're ahead, you get a tend to give up when you're behind. So always try to instill in them to put forth a good effort and play till the last second is on the clock.
Is there a motto for this team? Is there a goal set forth, or you just try and take them one at a time?
Well, we take one at a time. We take one opponent at a time, try to show a lot of good sportsmanship, a lot of football ability, and a lot of clean football.
Any, you don't want to make any predictions? Or
No predictions.
As far as you can go.
As far as we can go. I hope to go all the way, just as every other coach in the county does. but I think I got a group of kids that we might can take it that way.
Well, I'm sure you'll be smiling a lot this summer looking back at this game.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
it makes a difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thad Starling, the coach tonight, his team winning 33-0, Brian. A lot of bright spots for the Patriots. They looked incredible.
They sure did, and thanks Thad Starling for joining us. His first victory, and it's the Jamboree, but still a victory as the head coach here at Pinellas Park. Quick recap of the games. The first game won by Seminole in the last 30 seconds, 14-13 over Osceola, and a very well-played first half of football. Second game, all Clearwater, 28-0. They had numerous stars, Anthony Evans, Leonard Hayes, Terry Blunt, H.L. Daniels did a good job. They take it 28-0. The third game, all Pinellas Park, they win it 33-0. Sanders on a touchdown run, Graham reception, a couple of touchdown passes from Rucker. They look like they could have an outstanding team, as Todd just talked about there with their new head coach, Thad Starling. For our entire Vision Cable 9 crew and my broadcast partner, Todd Callis, this is Brian Ung saying thanks a lot for joining us. We'll catch you this weekend for Clearwater Phillies baseball on Saturday evening for a doubleheader. Until then, take care, everyone.